Lloyd Blankfein, Alan Simpson, and Erskine Bowles appeared on CNBC the other day to talk about what else? The fiscal cliff and what we need to do in order to avoid it. Interviewer Steve Leisman called them the all-star trifecta. Well, it might have been a trifecta, but all-stars? Really? In what league? The league of the grossly misinformed? While it's true we need to figure out a way to avoid the fiscal cliff, you know, that depression-creating combo of trillions in spending cuts and tax increases that kicks off on January 1st of next year, it's not a hard thing to do, avoiding the cliff. Just don't do it. Don't throw us off the cliff. Stop the whole thing and leave the deficit exactly where it is, or better yet, boost it up a couple of trillion more, because that's exactly what's necessary to meet the ongoing savings and income desires of the private sector, who have been struggling with falling incomes and the desire to accumulate safe assets. Without sufficient income, the public can't buy stuff, and that's why the economy is weak. And when they desire to save more, they are buying less by definition, so again, that's why the economy is weak. Only the government can fill the gap created by reduced private sector demand. And only the government can provide those safe dollars by spending more than it currently spends. There's simply no other way. But don't expect that fact to be understood by the all-star trifecta. And you know, those guys went on and about how we need to do something to avoid a catastrophe. Well, what catastrophe are you talking about, guys? Oh, you mean like Greece and Spain? Well, hello! Greece and Spain are different because they don't issue their own currency. They can go broke. But again, don't let the facts get in your way, boys. And wow, that Alan Simpson, he's a real colorful guy. I think he may have spent too much time out in the woods there in Wyoming, or maybe got thrown from his horse once too many times. Simpson's the guy who said that Social Security is a milk cow with 310 million teats. Gee, I thought Social Security was like a retirement account where you pay in and then get your money back in later years. And does that mean that like your 401k and IRA is a milk cow with teats too? And here's Simpson's explanation of what exactly $1 trillion was. Did you know, according to Simpson, that if you spent $1 a second, it would take you 32,500 years to spend $1 trillion? And did you also know that the Big Bang, you know, the start of the universe, that happened 13,600,000,000 years ago, but that's only something like 1/70th of $1 trillion. Aren't these fun Simpson facts? Then he says, we owe 16 trillion. That's 16 of those babies. He calls them babies. Those are dollars, Alan, not babies. And here we are back again at the same problem, all this misinformed thinking. Let's set aside these colorful analogies of Alan Simpson and ask ourselves a fundamental question. Who do we owe 16 trillion to? The Chinese? No. They've already been paid. They sold us stuff and got paid. Who else? Japan? Same thing. They sold us a bunch of Toyotas and Hondas and Lexuses, and they got paid too. By the way, who actually is the supposed debtor? Is it us? Is it the government? The all-star trifecta kind of wants you to believe it's both, us and the government, but it can't be. It's either us or the government. So, if it's the government which issues the money, how can it be in debt? And if it's the Chinese or the Japanese or whomever, we are the ones who got the money, so how can we be in debt? And why does that stupid debt clock always show something like $140,000 in debt per citizen when it's what we own and not what we owe? The whole thing is so screwed up. We owe nothing, nor does the government. At least not anything that it can't pay. This whole entire fiscal cliff stuff and the debt issue are phony. It's all fake. There's nothing more It's nothing more than the rantings of some highly misinformed lunatics, people like Simpleton and Bowles. We and most of the world have been brainwashed by the Pete Peterson CNBC mainstream media debt doomsday machine that makes us all think we're facing some debt crisis and therefore we have to live in squalor and poverty now to keep our kids and grandkids from having to pay the tab at some point in the future. Yet by listening to these clowns, we create the very poverty and lack that we're trying to avoid. I've often said that a bad belief system is like a disease in the body. If you don't eradicate that disease, it'll kill you. And the current belief is an especially deadly disease. Well, this is Mike Norman saying that's it for now. Bye-bye and see you next time.